We all have heard the term military brat a million times over. It pertains to those children who grew up in military families. Brats wear the name like a badge of honor, often because of the moves, dresses, and cultural experiences that makes them more resilient than their civilian counterpart. I am an army brat. Proudly they remark. It may sound preposterous to some, but for them, brat is born, raised, and transfer. Roger that. A good amount of Indians belongs to this often misunderstood subculture known as military brat. I am here to provide some insight into the unique lives these children of Indian soldiers leads and their interesting challenges and adventures they encounter. You might think military brat is a coarse term to call the service member children's. I know, I thought so at the first. But in time I began to see it as a term of endearment. It's term that says so much about the military life. Growing up a Fauji kid is an outwardly experience. You grow up with a Hanikarak Bapu who thinks nothing of waking you up at 5 am for either a run or study till 6:30 am. Never know what to study, just pull out any textbook and pretend to study and keep dozing off every few minutes till you get caught. Dad would monitor us and slowly pull away the books if we slept. Shoes have to be polished till you can see your face in them. Walk and sit in such a way that no crease or folds mar your appearance. You learn dining etiquettes before you probably learn to walk. The all-round grooming you get as an army brat helps you hone your skills in various fields. But there is more to the Fauji ways of life than just discipline and rules. It's not a regiment one, yes. There's a certain discipline that is followed in terms of pursuing a sports, playing a game, study time, and socializing time. One thing we always hear about military brats is that they move around a lot, and that's true. You just don't belong to one place. On average, military families are assigned to a new installment every 2 to 3 years, and it's usually not just a relocation down the street. No military families are assigned to fly to a new home all the way across the country with an entirely different culture. Indeed, a good chunk of military children are born at some place, raised at some other place, and transferred all across the country. Apparently, changes in transition don't seem that intimidating anymore. In fact, you begin yearning for changes and every posting becomes a new chapter. Life is constantly dynamic, always in a constant flow of events. At times, you end up meeting your old friends in different cities. If I say about the life on cantonment or peace station, a military cant is a community within a community. It fenced off from the civilian world around it, a sanctuary for military families. You play with the other kids in the community. The best part of growing up in the army campus is that there is a lot of greenery around, a lot of trees, gardens, and as part of the parents taken an active interest in gardening, thus passing the talent to their kids as well. You always look forward to festivals and holidays. You may not get to go to your hometown, but you do get to celebrate with your own military families. You will tuck into biryani on Eid with the same favor as you celebrate Janmashtami or Guru Purab or Christmas. There is no segregation, no differentiation. You bond over the lack of premises in your lives. You revel in every fleeting moment, cherishing whatsoever comes your way. The idea of living in a single place for more than a few years sends shivers down their spines. Being stuck in one place for a decade, in some military brats' minds, means missing out an eye-opening, life-enriching experience affordable by the rest of the world, reminding you that the world is big and beautiful and that there's so much left to see. After their fathers retires and settles at one place, it becomes difficult to settle down in one particular place. Shaktiman. Fauji kids have their very own Shaktiman. The ungainly military trucks or jeeps or tanks or stallion that parades as school buses. You troops into their rickety trucks with a tarpaulin roof and a wire mesh at the back. Chickens in a mobile coop off to the school. You fight for spaces on rudimentary wooden benches while a conductor keeps a wary eye out for paper planes and what a fight. Consider yourself lucky if you get to sit in the front if the driver in the Shaktiman. It is not comfortable, but it is sure of fun. Making new friends becomes second nature, and one of your first friend is your bhaiya. If I tell about the schooling, armed forces have their own schools for military kids: Army Public School, Kendriya Vidyalayas, Sainik School, military schools, Air Force schools. These are the default options. It is only after entering different schools that are civils or a college, which are not the army variant, we realize the different thought of process existing outside. It was always assumed that people outside would share a similar worldwide, but it is not always so. While you do live in a secular, protected shell of a life within thriving green cantonment, it is in many ways of perfect environment to grow up in. Unlike other children, home is not a brick and mortar building or a lane or even a city. For Fauji kids, home is the army and everything it stands for. Home is the sound of the early morning bugle, the sight of soldiers marching past in unison, the smells of brasso used to polish your father's and mother's medal, the feeling of pride you take in the life you have had. While growing up, military kids didn't fancy heroes from Marvel comics and DC Universe character, but rather the people whose name they grew up hearing. For instance, Captain Vikram Batra, Captain Vijayan Thapa, and so on. In fact, in military schools, the names of this house system reflects the names of various generals and field marshals, be it a Manekshaw or Karyappa. There is a small story about a teacher who asked a girl to give her an example of galaxy. A little kid replies, "Soldier of my dad." The surprised teacher asks, "How?" To which the little girl, filled with pride, replies that because this is where he wears his star, his uniform. Only military kids knows that you should up to appointment at least 15 minutes in advance. It is actually a great habit to have. You will rarely be punished for showing up early, but you'll almost always regret being late. It is impolite to keep people waiting, especially doctors and administrative personnel who have dozens of other patients and clients. It is wonderful and heartbreaking both about having a parent in military. One of the hardest part about military life is dealing with deployments, separations and losses. Having your loved ones posted in war zones, reading headlines about martyred soldiers, getting news it was not your father and sighing with relief, but knowing the fact he was somebody's father, somebody's son, pushes you in low spirits from the loss. All this is a part of the growing up life cycle. However, I don't think any army kid will trade the life he or she gets a military brat. Military kids exhibit pride in their parents' service and often take on additional duties during deployments. In this way, they serve our country too, with the strength and bravery. Growing up as a military brat, it is a unique and often rewarding experience. More often than not, looking back on life as a military brat will provide endless entertainment and laughter to anyone they share the stories with. Growing up as a military brat is a unique and often rewarding experience. More often than not, looking back on life as a military brat will provide endless entertainment and laughter to anyone they share the story with. With due respect to all, if I miss some points, please let me know in the comments. Last but not the least, I just want to share I'm so proud that I'm an Indian Army brat. Thank you. We'll meet you soon in next such update.